want to bring on, he's a former staffer for Congressman Michael San Nicolas, Mike Kilayko, and we'll bring him on. Good morning, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, am I on the air now?
You are
Yes,
on
you
the air
are.
right now. Are you nervous?
No. Well, okay, yes. But good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Let's just start this off. I'd actually reached out to you. I don't know if that was last year or this year, to do an
It was
interview.
last year.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That long ago, yeah.
And then at the time, I remember that you had said that you weren't able to speak on the record because of a bunch of different things. And so,
Right, we live in a world now where, of course, even at the job site, you are subject to things called like non-disclosure agreements, and that prevent you from speaking on matters that happened while you were employed.
right. And so let me, because I talked about this earlier, Mike, and I had heard from another former staffer that Congressman San Nicolas did actually require his staff to sign these NDAs. Was that true in your case?
Well, all I can say is I can't speak on the matter publicly, right? So what do you deduce from that?
When
Right,
did you?
right.
Can you just take specs? When did you work for the congressman? Was it when he was a congressman, or when it was
Yeah.
when he was a senator?
The congressman and I are old friends. We went to
Okay.
high school together, and I have supported him since his senatorial bid. I was actually one of the first people to encourage him to run when he was toying with the idea in the beginning. I was a diehard Mike San Nicolas supporter. Even when I'm a private small business owner, so I have also contributed to his campaign, and supported him in that way. And anybody who knows me out in the public, I really do care about the people of Guam. And to serve in the congressional office was a big honor for me in a part-time capacity, because obviously I had my business going, but I was asked to be pulled in to help supplement the staff. It was a big eventful year. If you remember, last year was the 75th anniversary of Guam's liberation.
Right.
So that's context of how I got involved.
Okay, and so the context is that you were a true believer of Delegate Mike San Nicolas, right? And so,
so I can speak that in the present, because that's how I believe now, right? What my viewpoint is in the present post working for him.
So when you went to go work for him, Mike, was it a wake-up call in any way? Because it sounds like you had an image and a friendship with him you were thinking it was one thing. When you went to go work with him, what was it that you discovered that maybe didn't really add up to what you thought?
I can't speak on that. I mean, all I can say is coming out of it, and what do I believe now? Do I support him now? No, I don't. Do I hope for another? I'm a Democrat, but I'm also a political outsider. I don't have any prior political experience. I don't have any, I'm just a Democrat. So, of course, I supported the current administration versus the Republicans. So I'm just a Democrat, and then also I was a Mike San Nicolas supporter. But coming out of it, these are the facts, right? I was brought in for a part-time job. I finished my term. And then, of course, I was lucky enough to come back to a business that I own, and I gladly came back home to work for my business.
Did you work in D.C. or did you work here? When did you start working, and how long did you work for him? And what was your position?
I started, these are facts, right? So these are public facts. So I began, I believe, at the end of April, May 1st, and then I ended right after liberation at the beginning of August.
So you're only
That
there?
was the end.
May of 2019 to August?
Correct. 3 months, right?
Did you leave? Did you resign, or were you forced out? I mean, why did you?
I was not forced out. It was just a term that was, agreed upon in the beginning. Again, because I have my own life here in Guam, and then and when it ended, I chose to come back home. But it was not like a firing.
I just wanted to, get background.
Of course, establish that, right?
Right.
So you said you were a supporter.
Yes, I was a supporter. I mean, there are things that have come out. I want to point out? The reason why I'm calling you in is because I believe I have a unique perspective on the whole matter, right? Because a lot of the people are, we all know that the delegate has really strong supporters. They're really diehard. His base is really, they speak like they know him, especially on social media. So I've been monitoring everything since I got back home, and you see how diehard they are and how much they believe in him, and yet here I am, right, reading the comments, and I'm like, I don't believe in him anymore, So I feel like I feel compelled because of the kind of person that I am. I have to say something, but I'm also limited, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things I want to point out is, to the public, a lot of people are pointing to, with the latest news over the weekend, that this is political infighting. People should stop fighting. This is not a local issue. This is a congressional issue. The ethics committee has moved forward, and of course, I have gone through congressional training, right? So when it is moving forward from the larger committee to investigate it even further, this has nothing to do with any political motivations on island. This is coming from the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and
so that's what I need to point out to people.
I saw it in the comments too, Mike, where people were saying that, they need to investigate the governor, they need to do this.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, what's the issue at hand? Is it's a federal issue? And I was listening to former Congressman Underwood's interview, and it's true, because we have to be concerned, because now all the press is bad press, and this has nothing to do with like the situation with JP, right? Of course, that ignited everything, but the facts are there. Obviously, if they have formed a subcommittee, and it says unanimously, that committee, that entire committee, which is a huge amount of people, fellow congressmen, right, have chosen to dig into the matter further. That means they found something, right, of interest. And I think the new thing that pops up was interference, right? That key word there. So, just like when the police do their investigations, and this is all alleged stuff that I'm just cooking up in my head, but what I'm thinking is what happened is there's probably some inconsistencies with testimonies when they went and did their interviews. I have not done any interviews with the ethics committee at all. I've never been approached. But obviously, if you see all the stuff for the public, it's out there, guys. It's public news. You just open your eyes. Rollcall.com has been doing a lot of articles. You guys have been pointing out things. There are former staffers, apparently, who have spoken anonymously, not me, but there are former staffers, according to those articles, that have spoken on his behavior.
Right.
Can you tell us?
That's out there.
Can you tell us what was a turning point for you from being a diehard supporter to a non-supporter?
And also, Mike, I just want to say that when we started this conversation, you basically alluded to the fact, and I know this from a couple other staffers, that you basically, in your own way, told us that you had to sign an NDA to work for the congressman. And I want to say that, for the most part, what everyone says about those is that they're unenforceable. Right.
They're not, completely. But I do want to clarify things, though. To be exact, I was not offered the job. I was offered the job prior, but it wasn't a contingent on me getting the job. I will say that that's fact. But obviously, I've had to sign one.
Right.
Yeah.
So what was the turning point for you?
Turning point. I can't speak on the turning point, but all I can say is, how do I say it?
Can you say why you don't support him anymore?
I just got to say, guys, this is Mike, hold on a sec. I mean, this guy signed a non-disclosure agreement, and he worked for Congressman San Nicolas, and now we have him here on the phone, and obviously he feels intimidated, and you're worried that something you say, I mean, even if it's unenforceable, if they file something in court, you still got to defend it, and that's
Let me just answer the question really quick.
Mm-hmm.
What the turning point was for me is that, I can speak on myself, right?
Right.
If you talk to anybody who knows me, all my clients, the work that I do is the most personal, important things to businesses. I do events for people, their weddings. They put a lot of trust in me, and I think I've been in business for 7 years already for that business, and people put a lot of trust in me, and I pride myself because I am honest. I can speak on myself. These are my values. I am an honest person. Talk to all my brides. Talk to all my big clients. I have the biggest clients on island corporate-wise, and they wouldn't put their trust in somebody who wasn't trustworthy. And so those are personal values that I have. And that's what I can speak on, is that that's how I live, and that's how I like to associate with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm friends with honorable people. That's what I can speak on about myself.
Mm-hmm.
Does that kind of answer your question?
On why you no longer support him?
Right.
Not
I can speak on my own values, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Of course, where you guys choose to work, right? If you have a choice to work somewhere, you kind of want to be in an environment that also aligns with your personal values, right? So that's how I like to choose my jobs.
So let me interpret here, and you just say yes or no. Are you basically saying that you are friends with people who are honest, and there were things about working for the delegate's office that you felt were dishonest?
No, I can't say that. I can't point that out because I don't have any. But like I said, it's just that I like to be in a work environment where, I can, be happy with my values.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And for me, of course, it was a temporary experience, right? So I had my business to come home to, and familiar territory. And then I did my job. One of the major projects that I had was to assist with the rest of the staff. We all put together the liberation thing. That was very important to me. And I got the job done. I worked with a lot of the Guamanians over there. And, there was a lot of issues with the Guam society over there, right, with the planning stages of that in Washington. So I got to go back and forth. I was officially, to answer Bree's question, I was officially hired as a local hire for the district office here, and my title was executive assistant.
Mm-hmm. But most of your work was overseas?
Back and forth. I also dealt with local matters.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you left on good terms after fulfilling your responsibility for that 3 months?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. And
Okay, so if you left on good terms and you're now not a supporter of Congressman San Nicolas, I mean, I don't think that's covered by an NDA, Mike. I think if you want to tell us why you don't support him anymore, it's a free island. You can tell us why you don't support him.
All I want to say is, if there's any other option, if there is anybody running, I will vote for whoever else.
You brought up something about the comments, right? And you said that when you read these comments, these people who support San Nicolas, and there's no doubt, I mean, he is so strong on social media.
Right.
What would you say to these people? Because you're saying that they're defending an image of a person and not the actual person and what the congressman's really like. So
that's pretty close. Yeah, that's why I'm calling in, because it's just like, wow, you really don't.
no.
They always really don't know.
So who is the real Mike San Nicolas?
The real Mike San Nicolas? Oh gosh, that's a general question. I will say this. He does care about the people of Guam, right? And he has good intentions, right? And everybody does. Anybody who's from Guam, loves their island. He's a very intelligent person. But, there's rules to follow, right? I guess, that's why all of this has come to play, right? Because there's questionable things. Obviously, an investigation is in place. Those investigations don't happen for political infighting or local issues on Guam. If it's happening at the Capitol and an actual congressional committee, it's serious business. And all this deflecting, especially from the supporters online, saying there's more important things to be done or blah, 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 that's kind of like a double standard because, okay, look, the administration's under fire right now, too, for the handling of COVID and all that. But the public is also relentless in keeping the administration to task. So why is it the feeling that I'm getting, right, correct me if I'm wrong, is the supporters for the congressional matter, they're like, oh, this is not important. Let's just sweep this under the rug. This is not, why are we talking about this? It's important. And like I said, the public needs to open their eyes. There's stuff that's out in the press already. That's why I'm able to kind of speak more freely because others have spoken, right?
Yeah.
Other former staffers have spoken under anonymity, but they have spoken on his performance, right? It's all out there in public. Roll call. What did we see? missing hearings, right? Poor voting record. These are actual functions that a congressional, a member of a Congress, they need to perform. And so if we're speaking about black and white, what is somebody's job for the people of Guam, right? These are serious allegations, and they're not coming from people, obviously the ones who must have spoken to the press over there are Washington-based, I'm assuming, right? Washington-based staffers, because it was not attributed to a Guam.
What do you make of this? When this all first started, the congressman had said it was a vast conspiracy against
right. See, that's what I'm trying. That's the insight that I'm trying to provide. How is it a conspiracy when it's a cut and dry, investigation that has been brought before members of Congress? So people cannot be discounting the opinions of his fellow, his peers. These are his peers that are gathering information, right, or at least directing their staff to, and then back to Bree's question about more on like who is Congressman San Nicolas, right? What I will say is there's a capable staff. There's capable staff that are very loyal to him over there, that are still there, getting the job done, right? So hypothetically, if you have a capable staff, they can carry on a lot of things. Hypothetically, allegedly, right? Even with or without a congressman, they can.
So it kind of sounds like you're saying he doesn't even show up to work. And that's what it sounds like you're saying.
That's what's being said, right? It's been said in the
I
press.
mean, yeah, we know that because it was in the national media.
Right. And why? And again, the press on rollcall.com is referring to more than one former employee, not just one, because a lot of people could say, oh, you're disgruntled and you're just trying to cause trouble.
They are, yeah. Somebody's putting in here.
So based on what you know, based on the fact that you have known him, like you said, since high school,
right,
and you actually worked for him last year in May through August, and you obviously have read Roll Call and other national media reports and KUAM.
Right. Yeah, I'm keeping tabs on things.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you feel, and in your heart of hearts, do you believe that this subcommittee will find Michael San Nicolas, in fact, violating these laws and regulations that he is accused of?
I think if they do a thorough investigation, I believe, this is my personal belief on the facts post employment, right? I'm speaking as a private citizen now. I do think there's weight to what they're looking for. Yeah. And if they are conducting their investigation thoroughly, I do believe they'll find something.
And it kind of does seem that they are, because they've already come out. And like you said, I think the hugest part of this news is that they are implying that he lied to investigators and that he.
Yeah, that's something new again that I even picked up on when I look at the.
I mean, that's the biggest news to me, is that they think he was lying to investigators.
Yeah, because obviously there was that initial investigation, right?
Right.
With the main committee, right? So.
What do you make of the way that John Paul Manuel has been attacked in social media and attacked by supporters of Congressman San Nicolas?
Again, as an avid actual supporter who's been to fundraisers, who's contributed to the campaign myself, I've seen JP. JP was diehard, man. JP was a loyal staffer. He really served, from the beginning. Like, I think he was with him from the way beginning, right? I'm not too sure, but to my recollection, throughout all the years when I supported him as a senator, JP was always there, and I always interpreted him as the right-hand man. Yeah. So, of course, it's a shocker when, turn of events of what JP pointed out, right? What happened to him. Obviously, I don't know. Like, it's really interesting to just then all of a sudden they're like doing the whole mafia style snitches, or what's the saying? Snitches for
snitches get stitches. What?
Yeah, the people that's actually a part of the dialogue.
Snitches get stitches.
Man,
yeah, they put
what?
Yeah, snitches end up in ditches, and so and so when you approached me, Chris, last year, JP just dropped the bomb on that, right?
Right,
I
yeah.
was not expecting that either. I've known of JP, but yeah, one of the biggest questions I had in my head coming into the job, I was looking for JP. I was like, what happened to him? Because I was an outsider coming in. You know, I was.
You're looking for someone you knew. Right,
Mhm.
Yeah, right. I know, and I was tapped in for my private sector work.
So what do they say when you ask where's JP?
Oh, I can't speak on that. But
Disclose it.
Can you disclose whether or not while you were working there, you saw any funky business going on?
Is there any funky business between the chief of staff and the delegate?
Oh, is she the chief of staff now? Is that her official title now?
Something, yeah.
I don't know. You read roll call.
District director or whatever it is.
Well, that was according to JP, that was supposed to be his job, right? He was supposed to get that thing, that title, which I fully believe that JP deserved that job.
Well, that ship has sailed. Well, Mike, thanks for coming on. And you know, if there's anything you remember, anything you provide, I sent you some articles about NDAs and their applicability to public employees, just so you know. Because it seems pretty obvious that there's a level of intimidation that the delegate's trying to provide by making you guys sign those NDAs.
Right, but at least I hope I was helpful, right, in pointing out things that maybe the public aren't really fully aware of, right, like the articles that are out there. Everybody needs to read up.
Right on.
And there's definitely weight to these articles. This is not the National Enquirer. These are actual publications that are watchdogs for members of Congress. So the public, I'm calling in saying, people, just read, educate yourselves on the issues. The stuff is right there. Open your eyes. It's before your eyes. That's all I want to say.
Okay, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, you guys.
Okay.
Wash your hands.
Be
Stay
safe.
in touch.
I will.
Okay.
Watch them all the time. Okay, guys.
Bye.
906.
And he's right. You know, some people may attack KUAMO. You guys are always going hard on Michael San Nicolas, but we're not. You know, we're not the only ones reporting this.
I mean, all we're doing is reporting it.
Reporting it.
That's all we're doing.
And we have given so many opportunities for the congressman to do an interview with us, to jump in on his press conferences.
I just think it's funny is the supporters. I mean, he has the most. They're right up there with Uncle Carl. Maybe even worse in some ways, but they just don't want to accept anything. I mean, you could lay it out in black and white for them, and they're just going to be like, "Nope, sorry."
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
That's
it's free island.
perfectly fine.
I mean, if you don't want to,
say what you want.
You don't want to be, informed. That really is on you. And yeah, there was some.
And I really do want to hear
I
what
do
the
too.
congressman has to say.
God donuts, Bree. If the congressman called in right now, we would put him on for an hour. I mean, we're going to ask him questions, and that's what I think is the biggest deal, is that for whatever reason, I mean, God, it's like a little kid. It really is like a little kid. Like, you cannot answer questions. You're going to put out, only stay on Facebook. I mean, it's 2020, guy.
Who knows? Maybe he'll have a statement, like a YouTube statement on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, but I think at this point, man, it's just like, if you don't do a real press conference where you invite all the media, including KUM, because we are legitimate, then what are you doing even? You know what I mean? What are you doing? Yeah, so there's a guy that keeps commenting, let Congressman San Nicolas speak for himself. Yeah, let him. Tell him to call in now. Tell your gods to call.
Yeah.
We got all the numbers.
And the problem is, if he did issue a statement on YouTube, there's no interaction. You're right.
And
we're not able to ask.
And he's the only... He is literally the only elected official on this island who does that and doesn't respond to KUM. Everyone else, I mean, bro, we've gone hard on the speaker. We've gone on our lieutenant governor. They still call.
The governor, even during a press conference.
Because it's part of the job. And it's just, to me, that is really a disturbing insight, is if you can't even handle the heat that comes with the kitchen, then what are you even doing in the house? It's 9:09.
And even when I remember he tried to attack you, calling you a racist. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Way back when?
God.
I mind blown. Okay.
He tried so hard. I mean, and again, we would love to have him on. I mean, I've asked everybody. I've asked his family members. I've asked, you know.
Oh, I've tried to.
Yeah.
Just different ways to try and get him on. And he did talk to me that one time, but I think it's because
It
he
was-
didn't realize it was me.
Right. Yeah. So we did get him at the end of that was the congressional address, right?
His congressional
His
address.
congressional address, and Bree kind of was like, "Go get him," and I was like, "If he sees me, he's going to turn and run."
Right.
So we got you in there, and he actually answered a few of your questions. But I think it was just like in the moment, and he didn't really realize what he's doing. So that's what we don't get. Like, if you're going to ignore KUAM, then ignore us the right way and just don't, you know what I mean? Don't like respond one day, then not the other.